The final Monday of the year arrives in Port Charles wrapped in winter chill, unresolved grudges, and the kind of secrets that never stay buried for long. December 29th isn't just another day on the General Hospital calendar, it's a pivot point. Old alliances crack, dangerous warnings are delivered behind closed doors, and more than one resident of Port Charles finds themselves staring at a future they never anticipated. As the town prepares to ring in a new year, the past refuses to loosen its grip.
Sidwell makes a chilling move that puts Drew Kane on edge.
Willow's fragile sense of certainty is shattered by a revelation she never saw coming. And Sonny, forever walking the line between protector and predator, finds himself deep in a moral gray area that could change everything. Let's dive deep into Monday's explosive developments. Drew Kane has survived captivity, mind control, and betrayal, but nothing prepares him for the calm, calculated warning Sidwell delivers on Monday.
This isn't a shouted threat or a public showdown.
Sidwell's power lies in subtlety, and Drew quickly realizes that makes him far more dangerous. The encounter unfolds away from prying eyes, the kind of meeting that leaves no witnesses but echoes long after it's over.
Sidwell doesn't raise his voice. He doesn't even appear angry.
Instead, he speaks with the confidence of a man who believes the outcome is already decided. Sidwell makes it clear, Drew is standing too close to something he doesn't fully understand. At first, Drew assumes this is about business, ELQ, political connections, or one of the many financial chess games constantly unfolding in Port Charles.
But Sidwell's words soon take a darker turn.
He references Drew's family, his past, and the emotional vulnerabilities Drew has worked so hard to protect. The message is unmistakable. Back off, or pay the price. What truly rattles Drew is how much Sidwell seems to know.
Details Drew never shared. Connections he thought were buried.
It becomes painfully clear that Sidwell has been watching, waiting, and gathering leverage.
This isn't just a warning. It's a test.
Drew leaves the meeting shaken, forced to confront an uncomfortable truth. No matter how much he tries to live in the light, the shadows of Port Charles are never far behind.
And Sidwell? He's not bluffing.
The real question now isn't whether Sidwell can hurt Drew, but how far Drew is willing to go to stop him. As Drew processes Sidwell's warning, his internal conflict takes center stage. Drew has spent so long rebuilding himself, emotionally, mentally, and morally, that the idea of engaging in another shadow war feels exhausting.
But walking away may not be an option.
Sidwell's insinuations suggest a larger operation, one that could threaten not only Drew but everyone connected to him.
Family, friends, innocent bystanders.
Drew knows this pattern all too well. When powerful men feel cornered, they strike where it hurts most. Monday's episode shows Drew grappling with a familiar but unwelcome realization. Sometimes doing the right thing means stepping back into the fire. He begins quietly reaching out, testing old alliances, and reassessing who he can truly trust. But even as he prepares for battle, doubt lingers. Sidwell wouldn't issue a warning unless he was confident Drew couldn't stop what's coming. And that thought haunts him. While Drew faces external threats, Willow Tate's world is rocked from within. Willow has been fighting so hard for stability, for her children, her future, and her sense of self, that she barely notices the cracks forming beneath her feet. On Monday, those cracks split wide open. The shock comes suddenly, without warning. It could be a confession overheard at the worst possible moment, a document that surfaces unexpectedly, or a revelation delivered by someone Willow never suspected would betray her trust. However it unfolds, the impact is devastating. This isn't just surprising, it's life-altering. The information Willow receives forces her to reevaluate a major decision she's already made. A choice she believed was final now feels dangerously premature. Trust is shattered, and the foundation she built her future on suddenly feels like quicksand. What makes this twist particularly painful is that Willow realizes she may have ignored warning signs all along.
Subtle inconsistencies.
Half-truths. Moments that didn't quite add up. She wanted peace so badly that she convinced herself everything was fine.
Now, reality crashes in.
Emotionally raw and visibly shaken, Willow struggles to process what this means, not just for her, but for her children. Every instinct tells her to protect them, but doing so may require confronting truths she's been desperately avoiding.
And in Port Charles, truth always comes with a cost.
Willow's immediate reaction is disbelief, quickly followed by anger and fear.
But beneath it all lies heartbreak.
Monday's episode doesn't give her the luxury of time. She must decide whether to confront the source of the shock immediately or keep the information to herself while she figures out her next steps. Both options are risky. Confrontation could trigger explosive consequences, especially if powerful people are involved. Silence, on the other hand, could allow the situation to spiral further out of control. As Willow weighs her options, one thing becomes clear: the version of her life she thought she was living no longer exists. And once Willow decides to act, there's no going back. No character embodies moral complexity quite like Sonny Corinthus, and Monday's episode puts him squarely in the gray area he knows all too well. Sonny is faced with a situation that demands action, but not necessarily lawful action. Someone has crossed a line, and while the law could eventually catch up, Sonny knows it won't be fast enough.
Or fair enough. This is where Sonny thrives, and struggles.
On one hand, his instincts tell him to protect those he loves at any cost. On the other, he's been trying to operate with more restraint, more awareness of the damage his methods can cause.
Monday shows Sonny wrestling with this internal tug-of-war.
His decision isn't about right or wrong, it's about necessary versus acceptable. And the line between those two concepts has never been thinner. Sonny seeks counsel, but even those closest to him can't give him a clear answer. Because deep down, everyone knows the truth: when Sonny steps into the gray area, there's always collateral damage. The question is whether Sonny is prepared to live with the consequences this time. As Sonny weighs his options, subtle moments reveal just how much has changed, and how much he hasn't.
He hesitates longer than he used to. He considers alternatives.
He even acknowledges that his actions could come back to haunt him. But when push comes to shove, Sonny remains who he's always been: a man who believes some problems can only be solved his way. Monday's episode ends with Sonny making a move that doesn't fully cross the line, but comes dangerously close. And in Port Charles, proximity to the line is often just as dangerous as crossing it. What makes December 29th particularly compelling is how these storylines begin to subtly intersect. Sidwell's operation may not be limited to Drew alone. The shock Willow experiences could have ripple effects that touch Sonny's world. And Sonny's decision in the gray area may indirectly influence how far Sidwell is willing to go. Port Charles feels smaller on Monday, every secret connected, every decision echoing across town. Characters who believe they are acting independently may soon realize they are all pieces on the same board. Monday's episode leans heavily into General Hospital's core themes: power, who has it, who wants it, and who's willing to abuse it; truth, the kind that frees you, and the kind that destroys you; consequences, the unavoidable aftermath of every choice made in desperation or fear. Sidwell's warning reminds viewers that power often operates quietly. Willow's shock underscores how devastating truth can be when it arrives too late. And Sonny's moral struggle highlights the cost of choosing control over clarity. By the end of Monday's episode, nothing feels settled. Drew is officially on alert, knowing the storm Sidwell hinted at is coming. Willow stands at the edge of a decision that could redefine her future. And Sonny has taken a step that may pull him, and those around him, deeper into dangerous territory. With the new year just days away, Port Charles is bracing for impact. Because if December 29th proves anything, it's this: the past isn't done with them yet, and 2026 may begin with more than just fireworks.